Hi everyone, welcome to the show Kerala to the Cosmos, a podcast where we explore how a small coastal town in Kerala became the starting point of India's biggest space trip. I am Ananda Padmanabhan, your host for today. Now here's something amazing. India's space journey didn't begin in a high-tech lab. It began in Thumba, in Trivandrum, with rockets transported on bicycles and parts assembled inside a church. From those humble beginnings, India has reached the moon with Chandrayaan, explored Mars, and is now preparing for human spaceflight with Gaganyaan. At the center of all this is the Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre, or the VSSC, right here in Kerala. It's the heart of India's rocket and launch vehicle technology. Every PSLV launch, every major mission, it all starts here. Today, my team and I will take you through different aspects of this incredible institution and how it has shaped not just India's future but the world of space exploration.
Now, let's talk about the origins of VSSC and TERLS. Hey, myself Aishwarya MS. Let me take you back to 1962. India had just become independent 15 years ago, and a visionary scientist named Dr. Vikram Sarabhai had a dream to put India on the space map. The location he chose was Thumba, a small fishing village near Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, selected because it lies almost exactly on the magnetic equator, making it scientifically ideal for atmospheric research. The first rocket parts were transported on a bicycle. The nose cones were assembled inside a church, St. Mary Magdalene Church, which was converted into a workshop and lab. On November 21st, 1963, India's first rocket, the Nike Apache, was launched from the shores of Thumba. This was the birth of what is today the Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, or TERLS. In 1972, after Dr. Sarabhai's passing, the center was renamed the Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre in his honor. Today, the same church stands as the VSSC Space Museum, a reminder that great things can begin in the most humble of places.
So, now let us move on to PSLV, GSLV and launch vehicle development. Hey, I'm Aditya Krishna. Now, when we talk about VSSC, we cannot miss talking about its greatest contribution to India, the family of launch vehicles it has developed. VSSC is the lead center responsible for the design and development of India's rocket technology. It has built the SLV, the ASLV and most famously the PSLV, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which has become India's most reliable workhorse, successfully launching over 50 missions. The GSLV and the more powerful LVM-3, earlier known as the GSLV Mark III, were also developed here. These rockets have carried satellites for communication, Earth observation, navigation, and scientific research, not just for India, but for countries around the world. In fact, VSSC develops every major component: the propulsion system, avionics, aerodynamics, structural design, and guidance systems, all entirely in-house, using Indian expertise and Indian hands. It is a true symbol of self-reliance in space technology.
It was wonderful to hear that. Now we are discussing about their contributions in major missions like Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. Hello, I am Edwin John. VSSC has not just built rockets, it has helped India reach the moon and Mars. VSSC made significant contributions to Chandrayaan 1, India's first lunar mission, in 2008, which discovered water molecules on the moon's surface, a finding that changed the world's understanding of our closest neighbor in space. Then came Chandrayaan 3, which in August 2023 made India the first country to successfully land near the lunar South Pole, a region no other nation had ever reached. VSSC developed the thermal protection systems that shield the spacecraft from the extreme heat during re-entry into the atmosphere. The Mars orbiter mission Mangalyaan was another triumph, making India first Asian nation to reach Mars orbit, and doing so in the very first attempt. Every one of this mission carries the fingerprints of the scientists and engineers working at VSSC right here in.
Now, let us talk about Reusable Launch Vehicle named Pushpak. Hi, I'm Devika Sapu. Now, let me tell you about one of the most exciting projects coming out of VSSC. It is the Reusable Launch Vehicle program and its demonstrator named Pushpak. Currently, every rocket that launches a satellite is used only once and it is discarded later. This makes space access extremely expensive. So, the VSSC is working on a technology that will allow rockets to land back on a runway after every launch. It works just like an aircraft and can be used again and again. Pushpak successfully completed 3 landing experiments called LEX-1, LEX-2 and LEX-3. Between April 2023 and June 2024, where it autonomously glided down from a height of several kilometers and landed on a runway without any human pilot. A new drop test facility for the RRV program was also inaugurated at VSSC in 2025. This technology, once fully developed, could reduce the cost of accessing space up to 80%. It is India's answer to what SpaceX have been doing with its rocket called Falcon 9, and it is being built right here in Kerala.
Now let's talk about Vikram microprocessors, FEAST software, and indigenous innovation. On the left, what makes VSSC truly remarkable is not just the rocket it builds, but the innovations it creates along the way. In 2023, VSSC developed FEAST, Finite Element Analysis of Structures, a software program that can analyze the structural strength of rockets, satellites, buildings, and aircrafts. Previously, the Indian institutions relied on expensive foreign licensed software for this. FEAST is now available freely to Indian universities and industries, reducing dependence on imported technology. Even more impressively, in March 2025, VSSC handed over the first batch of the Vikram 3201, a 32-bit microprocessor specifically designed and developed for space applications. This chip will replace the older 16-bit processors used in ISRO's launch vehicle since 2009. VSSC also works on telemedicine, teleeducation, and disaster management support using space technology, directly benefiting the people of Kerala and beyond. It is not just a space center, it is an innovation engine for the entire nation.
Gaganyaan, Future Missions and Kerala's Pride. Hey guys, I am Daniel Krishna. Let me close our podcast with a look at what lies ahead, and why we as Keralites should feel immensely proud. ISRO's most ambitious upcoming mission is Gaganyaan, India's first human space flight program. VSC is developing the human-rated launch vehicle, the crew module structure, and the deceleration system that will safely carry Indian astronauts called womenons to space and bring them back safely. Beyond Gaganyaan, VSC is also working on the next generation launch vehicle, codenamed Project Surya, which is approved for over a budget of over 8,000 crores rupees and aims to carry 30 tons of payload to orbit. India's goal is to establish a space station by 2035 and land an Indian on the moon by 2040. And at the center of all of this, quietly, consistently, brilliantly, is the Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre located in our own state of Kerala. From a church in Thumba to the surface of the moon, Kerala has always been and will always be India's gate to the cosmos. Thank you for listening to Kerala to the Cosmos.